Hi, I'm Matt. This is Book Chat. Hello again. Okay, so today I'm going to give you 3 books that I have challenged myself to read in 2020. Now, the one is not really a book, it's a series of books that I have kind of started reading last year, and I have read the whole lot before. But I have challenged myself to read all the Agatha Christie books, including the non-fiction ones, the ones Come Tell Me How You Live, her autobiography, the Secret Notebooks, and there was one other, I'm not sure, there was another one that she wrote. So those are the books that I have, the series of books that I've challenged myself to read, and this is just an example of the Miss Marple short stories. There are 50 short stories in this book. The printing is quite small, but I've challenged myself to read all 66 books, and I'm really looking forward to it because I love Agatha Christie, so that's what I'm really looking forward to, and I know I'll be able to finish all of them way before the end of the year. So that's the one lot of books, the collection that I've challenged myself to read. Now the next book that I've challenged myself to read, and this is a challenge for me because I am not a poetry person. I get it, I understand it, I could listen to poetry, but I'm not a person who would go and buy books of sonnets or books of poems and put them in my collection. However, I bought the complete works of Edgar Allan Poe the other day, and the gentleman that I bought it from said to me, hold on, I've got another book, also by Edgar Allan Poe. I'll throw it in as a bonus. And he gave me this. He said, it is the Raven and Other selected poems by Edgar Allan Poe. And I've read The Raven, but I've seen the comic movie, but I've never actually sat down and read any Edgar Allan Poe poetry. I've read loads of his stories, probably all his stories, but I do want to reread them again. But this I don't. I've only read The Raven. I've never read this book. So I really want to challenge myself to read this book slowly and comprehensively and kind of get into the swing of Edgar Allan Poe's poetry. So it's not a long book, it's selected poems, a short little book, but for me, it's probably going to be quite a difficult read. Okay, give me Victorian frickin' English any day. Okay, so that's the other one. Now, the last book that I want to read, I'm challenging myself to read, and another one that is a challenge, is a guy by the name of Franz Kafka. Franz Kafka. And you probably know him because he's the guy who wrote a story called Metamorphosis, short story. It's probably his most well-known story. He also wrote a story called The Trial, which is also quite well-known, but Metamorphosis is probably his greatest work. And this is the essential Kafka, quite a big book. You'll notice that most of these books are the Wordsworth classics or Collins classics. The writing is okay, but Kafka he's a very difficult author to read because of his writing style. And also his imagery. He writes mainly in images, if that makes sense to you. And his writing is very dense and very weird. Kafka had a very strange kind of ideology behind his writing. So I'm challenging myself to read this book. It is not every single thing that he's ever written, but it is the essential Kafka, and it has all the main stories. So that is my challenge to myself. So what are you challenging yourself to read in 2020? Are you going to read a whole lot of trashy pulp novels? Some James Hadley Chase, perhaps? Love that author. Are you going to sit down with a whole stack of your grandmother's Barbara Cartlands? I would love to do that. Tea and Barbara Cartland. Or are you going to push yourself and read some classic books? Or are you going to read some, I don't know, Desmond Bagley? Whatever. Let me know in the comments below, what are your 3 main challenge books that you are going to finish in 2020? I'm Matt from TBR, and I will see you next week for some more book chat. Bye.